This one is one of the most fascinating crop circles of all time. This one is the Arecibo response crop circle that's coming from this message. This message was sent up by Carl Sagan in the 70s. It was part publicity stunt probably and part real science. Basically, scientists said, well, if there are extraterrestrials, let's try to talk to them. What should we try to say? So they sent these ones and zeros, binary code, up into space using the Arecibo telescope in Puerto Rico. And it took quite a while for the message to come back. But basically, we were saying we're made of, these elements, and we're mostly carbon and water, and we have a two-stranded DNA molecule, and we have certain relationship of our body size, our arms and our legs and our head, and we have 8 planets and 1 star, and we live on the 3rd planet. So you can see down here in the orange section there, the 3rd planet right underneath the guy's legs there is raised up, and that's to say that's us on Earth on this size planet, and then we have these other ones. And at the bottom of the image, it says, here's the technology we used to send you this message, the Arecibo telescope. And we got a response not as a radio telescope message, because if they sent it as a radio telescope message, all of the governments of the world, especially the United States, who has an embargo on anything having to do with extraterrestrials, would grab it and say, thank you very much, we got your message, we're certainly not going to tell anybody about it. And then whoever sent this message said, the way to get this out is to put it down as a crop circle, because then somebody's going to fly over it and take a picture. And they didn't just put it down in any old field. They put it down in the field next to the telescope that's listening to space 24/7, 365 for a message from space. And so the guy is guarding this installation in the morning, looks out over the field, is like, wait a minute, what is that? There's a crop circle next to this telescope, and look at that. It's a perfect response in the same format as the crop circle or as the message that we originally sent. And then there's a mugshot, as Nassim likes to say, a mugshot of the guy who sent it. Not that it's a mugshot, but it looks like a portrait of somebody's face. And this is, fascinating that the message comes down right next to this telescope. And here you are standing in the crops in the middle of the night. It's dark. So imagine you're in the dark looking at these. How would you make a face? The only way you could make a face is if you got up into the sky and could look back down on it. If you squint your eyes while you look at that face, you can kind of see the imagery pop out a little bit better. Large eye sockets, looks like, a traditional extraterrestrial with the enlarged eyes. And on the left is the response in the crops. And it's the same format that we sent it. Basically, the translation is that we, yes, also have carbon and water molecules. We have a 3-stranded DNA molecule. We have a much larger head compared to our bodies than you guys. We also have 8 planets, but we live on 3 of them. One of them has 4 moons. And down at the bottom, you see where we had the Arecibo telescope, the technology they used to send us the message. And that is really hard to understand. What is all that? It looks like a bunch of dots or something. But look at this face. If you wanted to make that face in the dark, this is what you're looking at when you're standing in the crops. I don't think you're just going to be able to make that. You'd have to have friends in a silent, lightless helicopter with 3D, or 3 night vision goggles and 2-way radios, and they're like calling down to you. Yeah, you're working on the nose. Yeah, that nostril's too big. You're gonna have to, no, not that one, to your left. Prop up some of those crops. Make that tuft a little bit bigger. I don't think so. You never see crop circles where they're like, oops, we shouldn't have laid down those. Prop that back up again. Oh, whoops. Now you can tell that they were broken and then they're propped up again. It's not really how that works. I don't understand why this one has not been publicized more, but man, first of all, you'd have to get the message and figure out how you would code, binary code the molecules and the DNA and all these parts. And then just to do that on paper would be hard. Then to make it into a crop circle that's perfectly worded and then make a face that looks like a face from an airplane. I don't think so. Here's a more detailed analysis of the crop circle and where the information is encoded. If you want to look this up online, you can look at the Arecibo response because it was using the Arecibo telescope. It's one of the most fascinating crop circles ever.
music